I'm Nicole Lappin, the only financial expert you don't need a dictionary to understand. It's time for some Money Rehab.
Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein of Wall Street from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. What a great day to be alive and to be in this market. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be your temporary host sitting in for Nicole Lappin of Money Rehab as she is on maternity leave. Let's all wish her health and happiness for her and her family. It's a beautiful thing. So stay tuned. We're going to be doing episode after episode every day of what the heck's going on, giving you a forensic breakdown of what's happening into the market as we end 2024. And stay tuned for some of the best interviews I've done since the beginning of this show in 2024 in food, in fashion, in finance, and fun. We'll be seeing a lot of you, so stay tuned.
3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein of Wall Street. We are here with Trade Like Einstein. I am Peter Tuchman, and we're here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange in the balcony. History is made in this building every single day. Somebody with my long-term experience, I've been here for 137 years. It is my responsibility to help teach you how to navigate this market successfully. Boom!
Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein of Wall Street from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, right under the podium. Forget about it. So look, where are we? You know, at the end of today, because we did have a little bit of a reversal, the market got taken down by Nvidia. Stuff out of China, there were some accusations about an antitrust thing, a monopoly story. And so there were some major accusations against Nvidia, which has been best of breed, Jensen best of breed for the whole year. It's carried the whole market. It was the first time there was really any kind of bad news on it. And you know how one stock can really drag down a sector, and that's what it did. It took the NASDAQ down. We broke a winning streak in the NASDAQ. But it's a day. A day doesn't make a market. A week doesn't make a market. So the market was all red throughout the day. I think we closed down around 25 handles on the S&P. Friday we traded and closed at record highs. We had the economic data we were looking for. Unemployment did tick up a little bit, and that was majorly a function of the hurricane and some strikes. That was up from 4.1 to 4.2, but still. The trajectory has been great with employment, and the numbers have been good. Payroll numbers, 277 versus whatever. Last month, we only had 12 to 14,000. This month, we're back into the hundreds on jobs created, non-farm payroll jobs, right? I'm trying to get the psychology and the mental state, because you know when you go home after listening to me, you're going to hear everybody in the mainstream media talk about, oh my God, it's over, the selling off, it's the beginning of the end, blah, blah, blah. But that's not necessarily the case. When we see markets roll over, it's a lot different than what we saw today. Today's red action, today's sell-off in the market, look, it wasn't even a sell-off today, it was perfectly honest. 25 handles in the S&P is kind of a pebble in your shoe, right? And so you need to understand that we've seen there are some stocks that are so powerful in their sector and in their index that they can actually contribute to the whole market going up or the whole market going down. The reason Nvidia is the stock it is today may get impacted on the monopoly story, but for the most part, nothing fundamentally has changed. Stocks that got hit today that are not Nvidia, that are not going up against a monopoly charge, this is the kind of day that is an opportunity when the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater and stocks get sold off in an index or all over the market because of one particular stock, and everybody starts dumping stuff. Then that stock that you didn't want to pay top dollar for is trading at a discount, down $5, down $10. That's the time you have your shopping list. That's the time you see the opportunity. You should have a bell flashing, a light flashing in your house. Ask yourself the question, I think like putting Post-its all over the place. The rules, right, about never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Always having a plan when you get into a trade. Using technical analysis and risk management when you get into trades. Always protect your downside risk, whether it's an investment or a trade. We've got plenty of wild cards. We've had quite a wild year, right? Between the whole polarity around the election, about you got two wars going on. You've got the whole thing in the Middle East and oil and all those things. Yet the market has continued. Yet Friday, one trading day ago, this market closed at record highs across every indice. That is crazy. The S&P is up 27% for the year. The economic data that came out for last Friday was spectacular. Now, all that being said, we've got CPI, PPI this week. Very important flag, economic information that is the inflation target, that basically the Fed will make its decision. The wonder is, are we going to trade the year? Are we going to close out the year at record highs? I can't tell you. The market's going to go up, market's going to go down. I cannot tell you that for sure that's going to happen. But the market tells me on a day-to-day basis throughout all the things we've seen this year that there is so much money on the sidelines, people who haven't jumped in yet who are jumping in. People are putting money to work. They don't want to miss this boat. So many of them have missed the boat, whether it's in crypto, in equities, in the S&P, in tech, right? Because nobody ever wants to pay the high. And all year, every day, every week, every month, this year, we've had 57 record closes this year. Imagine that. I don't know how many trading days there are in a year, but we've had 57 record closes this year at the New York Stock Exchange. Isn't that crazy? So it's like, I don't want to pay the high, but I'm sitting around watching today's high, maybe tomorrow's low, right? So look, there's always opportunity in markets. There's never a bad time to buy the market. If you're thinking about a long-term investment, disclaimer across the board, I'm not your advisor. I'm just trying to get you into the right mental state and psychology of learning how to trade and invest correctly, taking the emotion out of it. Your first trade, if you are making an investment in a company, do your homework. Check out the company, the 4 Ps: process, product, profitability, and the people. That's what makes a good company, right? I learned that from Marcus Lemonis. That's what makes a good company, okay? But look into the company, and if nothing's fundamentally changed when the market pulls back, and you've been holding off on buying the stock because you didn't want to pay record highs, have your shopping list and jump in there. But make a determination how much you totally want to invest in that company, and may your first dive into that company be your smallest. And then add on. If it goes up, add on, going up. If it comes in, average into the stock. That's the only time you ever average into a stock. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's a beautiful day here, even though the market sold off. These are days where it's fascinating to see how everyone talks about it, how other parts of the market sort of fall suit when we do sell off. We haven't had that many. I mean, literally, we've had 7, 8 at most. I would say we've got, you can count them on one hand if you had 7 fingers. How many times we've had any kind of consolidation, sell-off, correction this year at all. And I don't even think we've had a correction. We surely haven't had a crash, but we've had a couple of pullbacks that, a couple were significant, right? But I've talked about it. We had in April, 7% pullback, normal after the best first quarter since 2019. May and June, everybody talked recession, depression, all that stuff. That didn't happen. July, a little bit of a pullback. August 5th, the Black Monday crash in Japan. That was a very complicated trade. I've told you all about it a million times. September, first week, the worst week for tech since COVID. The second week of September, the best week for tech since COVID. I think that little scenario, that little tidbit basically describes this year. That in September, the first week of September, it was the worst week for tech since COVID. That's a mouthful of a statement. And then week 2 of September was the best week for tech since COVID. All in 1 week. You can have a completely, bull markets used to take 10 years, generations to happen. We can be in a bull market at 11 o'clock and we can be a bear market by the time the market closes. That's the way this market is, the accelerated pace, the news cycle. It's extraordinary. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I love you all. It's a great day to be alive. It's an amazing market. Wake up, find some kindness and gratitude in your life, in your attitude, right? And take seriously this market. I need people to invest in stocks and not stuff. I want you all to consider your life and your life's goals a portfolio and build it in a responsible, disciplined, consistent fashion. Anyway, I wish you all the best. I love it here. It's a beautiful day to be alive. Bing, bang, shotzi. I'll see you later.
Hold onto your wallets. Money Rehab will be right back. And now for some more Money Rehab.
Hey everybody, now that we've done the wrap up on what the heck's going on, episode 9487, please stay tuned for one of my favorite interviews of the year from 2024. It's coming right at you. Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein of Wall Street, from the balcony at the New York Stock Exchange. You know I bring you food, finance, fashion, and I've never brought you real estate before, but today is something special, okay? I'm here with Jade Shenker.
Shenker like Shenker.
Like Shenker. You don't even need to think about it too much. Look, let's go back probably 5-10 years ago. I'm sure you've all watched $1 Million Listings. I know I used to binge watch it with my son, right? Ryan Serhant. Let's talk about it. New York, real estate, retail, commercial. Anyway, this wonderful lady who I recently met is a groundbreaking commercial real estate agent, okay, but she's so much more than that. We're going to let her tell her story. It's a human interest story in so many ways. You know, I love to let people tell their stories about how they got here, what it was like, what it's like now, and what the future looks for them. We're here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. There are thousands of companies here. Many of them are in the real estate space, whether it's REITs, real estate investment trusts, whether it's huge companies that are commercial real estate companies and whatnot, but it's all about the deal. Right? It's all about the deal, making a deal, making bids, making offers. That's what's exciting. That's what gets us up in the morning. I always tell you to go out there and find something you love to do, get really good at it, and then you will never work a day in your life. And I think that's what we have here with my new friend Jade. Welcome.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for having me. Okay, that is, I think, one of the best intros I've ever had. So thank you. And this is probably the coolest place I've ever been. I mean, just the photos that you were showing me upstairs, I feel so grateful, especially because women who weren't allowed to vote were here, and women who weren't even allowed to have cigarettes, right? Is that right?
Correct. And think about it. So this building was built in 1903. They started trading outside this building in 1650. Already in the 1650s, there were 26 brokers that used to trade commodities on the bottom of Manhattan. So Wall Street used to be, there was a wall, and above the wall was just forest. And that's where George Washington was inaugurated. But this is the heart of the financial district. You loved the deal, the art of the deal. So let's talk about it. Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I am a commercial real estate agent, and I'm also in the reality TV space on a show called Owning Manhattan on Netflix with Ryan Serhant and a bunch of other real estate agents. And I'm the only commercial agent, and the reason that I got into it was because my family, I come from a long line of real estate developers, and they've always been male. And I mean, since I was a teenager, all my dad taught me was there's always a way to get something done. Yeah. So I mean, I would cold call. You probably remember this, but the Village Voice, before there was Craigslist, before there was any sort of like internet presence.
Classifieds in the back, there were huge
exactly.
pages. Yeah,
and he used to have me go through the Village Voice to do for sale by owner and try to negotiate these deals when I was 14 years old. So I always saw an opportunity to be like, okay, well, number one, how do we get a deal done, right? How do we understand the other person on the side of the deal and what they need in order to get it done? So being a little bit more intuitive to that. And then also, how do we take a building, especially in a market like right now, that commercial is tough. Yeah. You know, commercial is not at the place where it was in 2019 where, you know, everyone was leasing out office space. The world changed.
Think about WeWork. I mean, think about how that's changed. Think about how COVID changed all that, and the whole landscape of the real estate market has changed. Yeah.
And coming from an owner's perspective, I've always been so frustrated because I'm like, well, you know, we have this building, we have these spaces. Why aren't we marketing it in a way that's hitting people globally, that's actually getting people's attention? So, you know, I saw Ryan Serhant's way of marketing and, you know, doing YouTube and videos and having events, and I was like, well, why aren't we taking this amazing residential approach and why aren't we bringing it to commercial? Because commercial is what, like a $2 or $6 trillion industry? Why has no one done that? And I was like, well, okay, let me try. And I mean, the faces I used to get from other brokers, they were like, oh my gosh, what is she wearing? What is she doing? But I'm like, well, your opinion is completely valid and I understand that, but you're talking about it, right? So you're not talking about that other building.
There's no such thing as a bad review. If somebody's talking about what you're doing, then you're getting a point across.
Exactly. And what I saw was the more people talked about something, the higher the SEO was on it and the shares. And you know what? It just takes one person to be like, wow, okay, that girl who threw an event in that commercial space actually, you know, this person's looking for a commercial space. Can I connect her? Or you know what? I actually like that she brought 130 people to come see this building, or her YouTube video hit 1.5 million people between the United States, South Africa, Dubai, Israel, and maybe she is onto something. And that's what I kept on doing. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to my gut. And I know what I'm doing. And I kept on doing that. And we were able to put a lot of buildings into contract at record prices. I mean, even like last year, I think the average price per square foot in Union Square was like $600, anywhere between $400 and $600 a square foot.
Right.
We sold a commercial condo for just under $1,300 a square foot because
Just double.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
you know. So I know that, you know, it's still early and people are still adopting this new way of marketing.
Is this a new way? So I need to ask. So look, I read about you. I was wanting to find out more about you, and there are obviously stories about your dad, right? So tell me that. Give me a little. I mean, you obviously
Yeah.
do you have siblings?
No, I'm an only
You
child.
don't. So you're an only child.
I'm an only
so
child.
are you the daughter that your father had, that he really wanted you to get into the business he was in, but he wasn't sure if it was going to be a business that a woman could break into?
Yeah.
Or were you the son that your father never had, and it was a different thing?
Well,
tell me about that.
yeah, I mean,
because we all are a function of our family. Like my father, Eastern European Jews, came to America after the Holocaust. I was going to be the doctor that he went on to become. It just wasn't my calling. Tell me about that for you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously growing up under your father's, right, he was a real estate person.
Yeah. So same thing, my grandfather and my great-grandfather, they came here from Eastern Europe, from the Holocaust, and they were very strict.
Were they in real estate?
They were in real
They
estate.
were
They came
already
here and
way
got
back.
in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
early
in
part of the
Bronx.
century.
Early part. And then they came here, and my dad was like, you know what, there's something to Lower Manhattans. And that was whenever East Village was like super, like in the
Buy
slums.
a building for $100.
Yep, exactly. So he bought a lot of things in the East Village, in Little Italy.
Avenue A and all that?
Right
Really?
down the street
So
on
what
John
year
Street.
was that?
That was in the 70s.
In the 70s,
So
okay.
he bought
That was just when people
he could buy
started buying things in
Yeah,
Manhattan.
a block for $500,000.
Yep, you could.
And he went against the grain from the family because they were more conservative.
Right.
And back then he was dealing with, you know, the mafia. He was dealing with artists who were shooting things. Like it was just
You
like crazy
think about
things.
the Lower East Side in the 1970s, that's Andy Warhol, Basquiat,
Mm-hmm.
drugs, you know, just storefronts, building fronts.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be able to walk down Avenue A, and it was just rats. There was nothing. The buildings weren't even there anymore.
Yeah.
It was just the facade and people and bums living behind there,
Yeah,
right?
it was
and nobody
crazy.
had the vision. Obviously, your dad did. Nobody. If you asked anybody, we're not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. This is going to be dead forever. There's no future to this neighborhood. And if you think about it now, it's like, why didn't I think of that? I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like that mentality. So your father did that.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
I mean, it was crazy, but his stories, I mean, dealing with people who weren't paying rent, that were going to hit him with a baseball bat,
Yeah.
and dealing with that, you have to have chutzpah.
Yeah, huge.
You know?
Huge.
So
The Shenkers have chutzpah. Let's be clear about that.
you have to have it. And he always wanted a boy.
Okay.
You know, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, he always wanted a boy.
That's okay.
And you know, my family is males,
Right.
and you have to keep the family name as well.
Yeah.
And he had a girl. And he was like, okay, well, it's different. And the way I was raised was, okay, because I'm an only child, he had to teach me the business because that's,
Which is
you
so
know,
great.
you have to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was always, well, you know, Jade, you don't have to work and get married. And I got married early.
You did? Okay.
I did. I got divorced early too.
Well, there you go. Give me 5 on that one.
You know, and it was. I mean,
First
I think,
in, first out. Let's go. LIFO, FIFO. That's the way to go.
I think it's honestly, it was a great learning experience. When you come to negotiate it, you know, I turned my real estate brand on and I'm like, okay, well, let's really discuss how to get a deal done.
Right.
Whether it's that or separation, whatever it is. But, you know, I think
You got out of that deal. You got in, you got out. Let's move on. Let's go.
it's good. I have it under my
Okay,
belt.
yeah.
And you know, I think at an early age, I was always just trying to be like, well, how do I prove to my dad, like, number one, I know what I'm doing, and I understand. I have a competitive advantage because I listen and I'm creative and I'm not afraid to take a risk. Like I actually seek risks, and I'm like, well, you know, if someone is doing something a certain way, there's always a way to get better and do things differently. And because I'm very confident in that space, I'm like, you know what? What's needed? What's needed on both sides? And I kind of saw spaces aren't being marketed to the capacity they can be, right?
Commercial, for sure.
Commercial.
Right,
specifically.
Think about that. We know that. Sorry to interrupt you, but we think about the whole real estate market. Think about just residential real estate, how it's marketed. I'm sure everybody who's watching this has watched some kind of a real estate show, whether it's $1 million listings in New York or out west. I mean, you stage an apartment, right, and you do it in a different way. So residential is always way different than commercial. So you've taken the commercial thing to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about your confidence for a minute, because that's something. Risk, first of all. Confidence, another thing. These are things you can't really teach somebody, right? I thrive on risk, and it gives me confidence. That ability. I started here on Wall Street in 1985. Some people say 1885, right? But that sense of the adrenaline around this place, the excitement, the risk, right? The chaos. I thrived on that. For me, that was where I found my energy and I found my confidence.
Yeah.
Some people shy away from that. Some people need to wake up, have a coffee, read the paper before they do, right? You seem to me like somebody more like me. You come out of the gate, you're like a thoroughbred horse just running for it because you just know what you want, right? You found something you love to do.
Yeah.
You'll never work a day in your life.
Oh my God, I love it. I always say it's like, and you probably know it more than anyone, it's like, I don't believe in work-life balance, I believe in work-life integration. So integrating every aspect of your life into your work. And I love, that's why whenever I met you, I was like, I felt so inspired because I was like, who
You're in the
else?
right place. This place embraced you from the minute you walked in it because of those qualities that you have.
Yeah, I want to have an impact and I want to be able to touch people because yes, there's the deal and we think about, okay, this is a building, this is someone trying to buy a building, but who are the people behind that deal? What do they need? People don't realize, and maybe I saw this at an early age, and that's people's livelihoods, whether it's a private equity firm and there's families or if it's an owner who bought something back in the 70s who's now in his 80s and he wants to sell it.
Exactly.
Like those are things that really have such an impact on me. So yes, it's a business savvy. It's the adrenaline of creating something and showing someone how they can make money from what one person sees as four walls, or if you can convert that vision into a valuable asset and showcase what you can do with space, get creative. Like that is what my serotonin, my dopamine is just like throws it off. That's why I don't sleep. But at the same time,
we're going to work on that.
I know we are. But like there is a beautiful emotional aspect to it where like I'm able to help people and
So you're a humanist. See, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about the deal, and the deal has a lot of all this chatter around it, but at the end of the day, it's two people talking about something. Then you get, the more you know about them, you sort of start to describe it in the beginning of this interview about how you don't know where people are coming from and what this deal means to them. But the way to close the deal is about getting into where they're at on this deal and making connection to them. It's about trust, it's about confidence, and it's about them understanding that you have a vested interest in this being a good deal for everybody, right?
Yeah.
You're able to walk away from the deal and everybody's satisfied.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I feel like that, and you probably know this more than anyone, sometimes you just have to get creative.
You got to get creative, 100%.
Like not every deal is cookie cutter, and like it's not just sometimes the things that you see, but the things you don't see, and listening and understanding people and being mindful of, okay, what are the other factors in this? And I feel like that's been something that I'm really cognizant of and always trying to make measurable actions towards.
And you've done that. So tell me, so the way you're approaching commercial real estate is obviously gotten the attention of Ryan and obviously gotten attention of the industry. And so you have this show, right? It's called
Owning Manhattan
Owning
on
Manhattan.
Netflix.
Okay, so talk to me about that.
Season 1 was wild, and I was going through like a massive personal shift. I think it was really cool because yes, people see the selling sunsets, they see the $1 million listings, but like at the same time,
they're seeing your life too.
Yeah, they're seeing and
that's a big thing.
all of our lives. It's commission, it's deals, it's no sleep, but there's personal aspects to it too. Like what are people going through in life behind the deal?
Look, you have a social media platform and you have a work platform, as do I, and it's not an easy thing to really open up about people's lives and people's struggles, right? That makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, being vulnerable in front of lots of people it gets across a different message, right? And people are able to identify.
Yeah.
They're not comparing, oh my God, she's beautiful, she's got this, maybe she was given all this silver spoon, all that. No, you're showing your vulnerability, you're showing that you're a human being going through having an experience, and that makes you so much more attractive in that way. People will identify with your story. People who have gone through what you're going through. Maybe you're going to inspire, I pretty much guarantee that on this show, you're going to inspire other people who have gone through things to know that they can get through that they can go on to find their dream job and find their dream career and find something that moves them and motivates them to be able to be vulnerable, keep going, break barriers, and do all that stuff, irrespective of what's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's not every day that I get to meet people like you that truly, really, I mean, going upstairs and seeing just your involvement and the history of what you've been through, like that really touched. I think I almost went in tears, like seeing that room of just how many things have happened here and what you've been involved in and what you do, because I think you're taking a different approach to what has been, you know, a traditional industry, and you're making it interesting and making it fun and showcasing
and
life.
Making it human. You know, it's a different, that's how we get our message. It's a matter of telling your story, right? That's what I love to do. People will look at you and judge you and, you know, make comments or whatever it may be, but you don't get a point across and you don't really make impact unless you tell your story and let people know who you are.
Yeah,
that's the point. We're here for not a long time, right? But we're here for a good time.
Yeah.
You want to get your message across.
Yeah.
You want to move people and impact people. It's not a matter of who dies with the most toys. It's a matter of how many lives you can impact while you're here, right?
Yeah.
It sounds to me that was probably your father's message, even your grandfather, right? Immigrants coming to America, went out and found stuff. They went up against it, you know, buying houses on the Lower East Side in the 70s. Everyone told them they were out of their mind. And think of it now. I mean, that visionary part of this is what's exciting.
Yeah.
And you seem like you're a visionary in that way.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's why I'm here. You know, there's an Australian saying, "I didn't come here to fuck spiders." it means that I didn't come here.
Now, what does that mean?
It means that I didn't come here just to be here. Right. I didn't come here to just be another, you know, stick figure in the whole scheme of things. No, I came here to do something. I came here to inspire or to touch someone.
Motivate,
or to do
create,
something.
motivate, and inspire.
Create, motivate, and inspire.
CMI.
CMI.
Okay, so what's the future?
What's the future look like?
What's it look like for you, for Jade? You're 28 years old. You've done a lot for 28 years old.
Thank you.
Right? You're obviously in the commercial real estate business. You're working with the best people in the industry, right? In a big way. You have this wonderful show.
Yeah.
You've been married. You've been divorced. You have wonderful things to look forward to in the future. What's next?
I hope to be able to focus on more trophy assets. You know, I love what I do now, but if I'm able to do that for a property that's, you know, in the 100 millions and the 200 millions, like that is so cool to me. And to be able to
It's
just
not the money though part,
focus.
is it? It's more than that.
Legacy.
Right? Yeah. It's
you know,
legacy.
I think like that's so important to me. At the end of the day, my dad's in his early 80s or mid 80s now. He had me when he was a little bit older.
Right.
And he has dementia now, and to go back home and see him and see the smile on his face whenever he sees all of that stuff, and he knows that I'm
he was
living
aware
on his
enough
legacy.
to be super proud of you of all the things you've done in his industry.
Yes.
Has he?
Oh my God! Yeah, the smile on his face every time I tell him, like, Dad, I sold a building.
It must be
And he's
amazing.
he saw me on Netflix for the first time.
must
Like
be
he
incredible.
just started tearing. He
I'm
actually
sure.
teared. There's one scene where a girl, I go to an event, and this girl goes, she's like, "You just came here to show off your stupid outfit," and he chuckled because he's like, he knows me. He's like, "Yeah, she did."
Exactly.
Yeah,
There you
thank
go.
you.
Check it out.
You too.
Yeah, this is it. This is my
Yeah.
my costume.
You know, my family name and making him proud, and also a different type of asset. I would love the opportunity to focus on those assets and try to strategize around that, because I just think it's so fun and I have so much energy, and that would be the next step for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Look, for me, I come here and I bring people up to this balcony for them to tell their story. And the most important for me is for them to motivate and inspire other people to be their best self, to find something they love to do, to go out there and get other people to, look, we are living in this really kind of wild, crazy world. Right, obviously you've had, you've had some obstacles along the way. Think about this, like COVID, post-COVID. Right? I mean, that really threw everybody. You were what? You were 23 years old, right? So many people there's so many people who have gone through so much spiritually, with mental illness, with a lot of obstacles in their lives over the last 5 years, and to be able to have the excitement that you have for what you do, to have broken so many barriers in an industry that is right. That's great.
Thank you.
You're disrupting the heck out of whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
and look, and you're coming out of it with a smile. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy you're here with me and
Thank you
and
so
telling your
much.
story.
I appreciate it so much, really.
My pleasure.
It,
And you're here on Wall Street,
it's-
and really
this
Wall
is
Street's
so-
embracing you in a big way. Think about
This
it,
is
right?
this is so surreal.
We started the conversation as I'm a firm believer, and I always tell young people who ask me about, how do you get to there? There's no door that you can't knock on. The worst that you're going to get is somebody saying no, right? And we learn so much more from our failures than we do from our successes.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of how many times you get knocked down. It's a matter of how many times you get back up and keep moving, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had that happen to you along the way.
Yeah.
And I love being told there's no way you're going to succeed at that. You can't do that. And I love proving them wrong. And you've clearly proved
That is the
everybody wrong. Jade Shenker, kicking ass, taking names. I love you. And that's all I got to say about that.
Money Rehab is a production of Money News Network. I'm your host, Nicole Lappin. Money Rehab's executive producer is Morgan Lavoie. Our researcher is Emily Holmes. Do you need some money rehab? And let's be honest, we all do. So email us your money questions, moneyrehab@moneynewsnetwork.com, to potentially have your questions answered on the show, or even have a one-on-one intervention with me. And follow us on Instagram @MoneyNews and TikTok @MoneyNewsNetwork for exclusive video content. And lastly, thank you. No, seriously, thank you. Thank you for listening and for investing in yourself, which is the most important investment you can make.